Celebrated annually on the 19th of August every year, World Humanitarian Day honors the humanitarian efforts of individuals and non-profit organizations worldwide to globally raise awareness of the idea of supporting people in crisis.
This year witnessed the COVID-19 pandemic create new challenges for the humanitarian and the frontline workers. As usual, Ghanwa Jabouri is over there.
In light of World Humanitarian Day, celebrated annually on the 19th of August, Al Salam Society for Humanitarian and Charity Work and Namaa for Zakat and Community Development, Social Reform Society, highlighted some of their humanitarian initiatives, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, which witnessed both societies exert great efforts to help the most vulnerable communities, both locally and globally.
Efforts done in Kuwait and what has been happening through the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, as you know, that Kuwait has been nominated by the United Nations to be the center of humanitarian efforts. Plus our Sheikh, His Highness Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Sabah was also honored 5 years ago to be the leader of humanitarian effort as internationally. And what we're doing today in Kuwait is just part of a grand vision that Kuwait has taken. And we at Namaa have worked very hard during the COVID-19 pandemic to help relieve less fortunate families or people living in Kuwait, whether they are from their Kuwaiti families or expatriates who are very welcome in Kuwait.
Both societies, in addition to many others, intensified their efforts during the COVID-19 crisis by providing humanitarian support in a number of ways, such as providing food baskets to communities that were in lockdown and providing those in need with medical masks, sanitizers, and protective gloves, to name just a few.
We at Namaa and all other organizations in Kuwait have been coordinating in special committees presented by the government, and each organization had a special role. Some were involved in relief efforts, some organizations were very much involved in arranging some finances for less fortunate families, etc. From our side, we have worked very much at lockdown areas that were during the COVID-19 pandemic, such as Jalib Shuyukh, Farwaniya, etc., etc. And we've taken the initiative to distribute food baskets to people who are in need, with the arrangement of the National Guard and the Ministry of Interior. All of this was done under the supervision of the government, presented by the Ministry of Social Affairs.
Everybody knows that Kuwait is a center of humanitarian in the world, and I am, as a Kuwaiti, I am proud of Kuwait, what they are doing since COVID-19 pandemic, exactly on the 1st of March until now. And as a Salam charity, we are doing a lot of project inside Kuwait and outside. For example, inside Kuwait, we visit a lot of locked areas, and we try to help families and also affected communities.
Furthermore, Al Salam Society for Humanitarian and Charity Work and Namaa for Zakat and Community Development have been active during the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic and have received much respect and admiration from society for their ongoing commitment towards humanitarian projects, especially during challenging times. I'm Ghanwa Jabouri reporting to you for the English news.
We have a phone call from Noura Al-Gattan. United States nation over in the state of Kuwait, Office the Coordination of the Humanitarian Affairs representative in the state of Kuwait, is joining us tonight. Good evening, and thank you so much for being with us. We'd like to ask you the first question. Could you tell us about the world and the humanitarian efforts to give the needy people, especially the countries and the individual, what exactly that the United Nations are doing in these crises?
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me today on World Humanitarian Day. Of course, the United Nations stands by to help people and communities in need at all times. To give you an example, the people of Lebanon recently have gone through an extreme ordeal, and the August 4th explosion has unfortunately brought forth extreme humanitarian needs that require global unity and support. From the United Nations perspective, to help coordinate the humanitarian efforts, UN OCHA organized the deployment of experts from the International Search and Rescue Advisory Group and the United Nations Disaster Assessment and Coordination Team. Additionally, immediate aid was provided to Lebanon at 15 million United States dollars through humanitarian funds to help provide life-saving assistance where it is needed most. UN organizations, in partnerships with their local and international partners, are providing aid in the areas of health services, food distributions, shelter, migrant protections, and others as well. Last Friday, for example, the United Nations, they've launched a flash appeal that aims to help the people of Lebanon move from immediate life-saving humanitarian relief towards recovery. And currently, different UN organizations and partners are working in areas such as food security, health, shelter, education, emergency telecommunication, water and sanitization, and logistics as well.
Well, thank you so much for being with us on KTV2. That was Noor Al-Gattan, and she's United Nations Officer for the Coordination of the Humanitarian Affairs Representative in the state of Kuwait. Thank you so much.